Yo, what's up everyone? It's Jaden. I wanted to create a 2v2 tier list for Frost Mage. I made one before, but I feel like in this video I will try and explain a little more and help go into detail a little bit better about why certain things are good and why some you don't even want to queue with. So, I'm not going to include tanks in this video because fuck tanks. So let's put all the tanks at the back. These classes are actually disgusting and we will not be rating them. So, where is Prot War? Where the fuck's Prot War? Oh, this. Okay. So, the first class we have is Ardurid. This is going to be one of your S tier comps as a Frost Mage. You have a lot of CC. You have Cyclone, you have Vortex, Sheep. You have like and healer has stuns, and now they have a kick. Overall, I think Ardurid is probably the second best healer in the game right now, outside of Preservation Evoker. So I do think Frost and Resto Druid mesh very well together. So that is an S tier comp. Next we have Outlaw Rogue. Now, the thing with playing with a rogue as a frost mage is like a lot of your abilities cleave and break CC. With that being said, I do think rogue is very, very strong. And outlaw in particular, I would say with the frost mage is probably a B tier comp. Just because you have a lot of CC. However, your spells as a frost mage will be breaking a lot of random CCs and shit. So it's not the best, but you can make it work. Next you have Aflock Frost Mage. I will say this is a B tier 2v2 comp. It's not as good as Destro and Demo with Frost because you can't really sheep or it breaks it like ruins all their damage and all their dots. But I have queued this with some good Aflocks and we've gotten pretty high, but I don't think this is the best class you should be queuing with. Next we have Holy Priest. Holy Priest, Frost Mage. I'm gonna say this is a C tier comp. It's not really that fun to play. Priests in general, they do a fuck ton of damage, and Holy Priests do have a stun. However, it's nowhere near as good as Resto Druid. But you could make this work. I don't think you could get too high with it, so that's why I would put it at a C. Frost Mage Enhancement Shaman. I'm gonna say this is a C. I'm gonna say this is a D tier comp. Even though Enhancement Shaman is really busted right now, and they have a lot of off healing and they can live a really long time, I don't like the playstyle or how it feels actually playing with an Enhancement Shaman. I feel like you're more prone to dying as a Frost Mage. I don't know. It's just uncomfortable to queue with, so I'd put that at a D tier. Next is Rep Pally. Rep Pallies do a lot of damage as well, and they have decent survivability, similar to Enhancement Shaman. I would actually put this at a C tier. I feel like it feels just a little bit better than an Enhancement Shaman would, but I still think it's sort of in the same boat where it's not really, you don't really have reliable setups, you don't really mesh well together, but you could make it work to some degree. Next, Disc Priest. I'm going to put this in D tier. It does do a lot of damage, however, sort of like Enhancement Shaman, there's no really good setup. You don't have a stun with the Disc Priest, you're kind of just pumping damage out, and it's not always the easiest to do that. So I'm going to put that at D tier. H-Pal, I hate queuing this comp. I might be a little bit biased here. I'm putting it at D tier. I've never queued with an H-Pally and had fun, nor like wanted to keep queuing it. I think this class is terrible, and I think this comp is terrible, and I don't recommend queuing it. With that being said, we have Moonkin. I was a little biased in my last video, and I put Boomkin at D tier because it is a really bad class, but I think just because you have like Cyclone and like off healing and Root Beam, I'd put this in C tier. I think it's not as bad as I made it seem in my last video. However, it's still not the best, but you do have ways to set up and get kills. So I'd put that in C tier. Unholy DK. Now, I haven't tested this comp this season or ever really played it with a good DK. So I'm not sure like the full potential of it. I could see it like a world where it is good just because DK does a fuck ton of damage and they don't die. And they have a lot of AoE pressure. And as a Frost Mage, you could sit 40 yards back and just spam Glacials, and while your DK grips everyone in. However, I don't really think... Yeah, maybe you could, I'm going to say, honestly, I could be way wrong on this, but I'm actually going to say this is a B tier comp. Honestly. I do want to test this out, and I will test it out sometime this week, probably. DH Frost. I'm not a fan of this comp. However, DH is broken and they can live for a while. But with that being said, they can't really peel for you. Like, if you're getting ran down by certain classes, your DH can't really help you as good as certain classes can. So, I'm going to put it at C just because they're so busted that you could probably get some rating with it. But I don't think it's, like, something you should rely on it. Feral Frost Mage, A tier. This is a very strong comp, similar to Resto Druid. You have a fuck ton of CC. One thing I noticed this season is Ferals do die like way easier now than before. So that's why I would put it at an A tier instead of an S tier. However, I still think it's really strong, and you can have very good setups and double stun into sheep setups and just spam out CC. So it's still one of your strong comps. So that's why I'd put it at A tier. Demo Frost, S tier, 100%. This is your best 2v2 comp in the game. There's no comp better than Demo Frost in 2s. It's very fun to play. You have a fuck ton of survivability. So yeah, S tier. Preservation Evoker, similar to... It's kind of similar to like H Priest, except I think it's better. So I'd put... this is one of your B tier comps, I'd say. You don't really have a reliable stun, however, it is way easier for a evoker to get off their damage than it is for a priest. They also have a lot of things that help you where they could like pick you up and get you out of stuns, give you immunities. There's like a lot of cool things about evoker that priest doesn't have, and that's why I'd rate it higher than a priest. Subrogue Frost. This is A tier, just because Subrogue is really strong and they have a lot of CC. It's basically good with any class. Same with Frost. So, honestly, Shadow Priest is the caster version of Sub in my opinion. I think it's also A tier. You can do really well with God Comp this season. It's very strong. Destro Frost, I'm going to say this is A tier. It's not as strong as Demo Frost, but it is very strong. They have double coil, they have like a lot of ways to get out pressure and CC, and you guys can have very long CC chains. So I will say this is an A tier comp. It could be S if it did a little more damage, but right now it doesn't. So I'm going to keep it at A, but it could be either one, to be honest. Ellie Frost, they kind of share a DR with you. with Hex, and it's like really annoying. So it's kind of hard to peel for your Shaman sometimes. I'm gonna put this at C tier. I've played it with good Ellies and we did well, but I don't think in general you should rely on this comp to get a lot of rating. Fuck Guardian Druids, although this is probably a really good comp. Assassination Rogue, I'm gonna actually put it in A tier with Sub. This is honestly, it's probably better than Sub with Frost, just because you can like do a lot of spread pressure and you don't really have to worry about breaking CC. You kind of just run down one target, or you can like multi-dot and cleave. So I think Ass is kind of up there with Sub. Devastation Evoker, this is really strong. I would put it in B tier. It's sort of like a budget warlock in my opinion. So yeah. Double Frost Mage, I could see a world where this works. You could put it in B tier. I'm going to put it in C tier for now. Just because you don't really have a reliable stun. You're just putting out damage. You don't really have a setup to win. However, you both have polymorph. But like with some of these other comps in the lower tiers, you don't have a stun to really make things happen. Although I feel like if you had a really good Frost Mage and you both knew exactly what you're doing, I could see a world where you just cleave things down. Like you could run double Ice Wall, Ring of Fire, big Glacial Spikes, and you could do a lot of nice things. Actually, I'm gonna put that in B tier. Frost DK, I don't really see this working. I don't think it's anything like Unholy DK. I think, yeah, I don't think this would be good at all. Windwalker Monk Frost, I'm gonna say B tier because Windwalker can live on their own and they do a lot of damage. So I think that's a B tier. They also have their stun, and you can do really good setups, and you can hold your glacial for when they go in for leg sweep. You could CC the off target and probably do really well with this comp. Arcane Frost, I don't really see this working. You could get some gimmick one shots at lower rating, but in general, you don't expect to climb really with this. Marksman, I don't think any hunter meshes well with Frost Mage at all. I think they'd all just kind of get ran down eventually, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Same with Fury Warrior. It doesn't really go well with your class. Arsham, I've played with Arshams, good ones, and I don't think it feels fun at all to play with them. I think it feels awful. It feels like you're always dying. You can't really land kills. So I'd put that at D tier as well. Arms Warrior, same. Fire Mage, same. And Mistweaver. Yeah. So that's my 2v2 tier list for Frost Mage PvP. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If you don't, dislike it. If you have any questions, comment below. I also do stream high rated Frost Arena on my Twitch, twitch.tv/JadenXYZ. And yeah, if you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. Thanks.